The massive ship drifted silently through the darkness of deep space, its sleek hull reflecting the distant starlight. Dr. Marcus pressed his face against the observation window of his research vessel, his four eyes widening at the sight before him. The ancient fleet stretched as far as he could see. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of ships floating in perfect formation despite their age. "Another waste of our time," muttered First Officer Reed behind him, her tentacles curling in frustration. "Look at the hull composition. Basic metals, no quantum shielding, not even basic gravity manipulation. These ships are primitive garbage." Dr. Marcus ignored her comments, too fascinated by what he was seeing. Yes, the ships appeared simple compared to modern vessels, but something about their design spoke of careful purpose. Each ship was identical, measuring exactly 2.4 kilometers in length, with strange markings etched into their hulls that his translation software couldn't decipher. "The dating scans are complete," announced Technical Officer Jones, his crystalline form glowing with mild interest. "These vessels are approximately 50,000 years old. No signs of life or power signatures. They're dead relics, Doctor." 50,000 years, Dr. Marcus whispered, his secondary hearts beating faster with excitement. "And yet they're in perfect formation. No drift, no collision damage. Don't you find that strange?" Reed snorted, a sound like bubbling liquid. "The void preserves things well. We should mark this sector for the salvage teams and move on. The university wants us studying advanced civilizations, not examining space junk." But Dr. Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something important. He adjusted his gravity harness and floated closer to the window. The ships were dark, yes, but their hull design was aerodynamic despite being space vessels. The weapon ports, and he was certain they were weapon ports, were cleverly disguised as structural elements. This wasn't the work of primitives. "I'm leading a boarding party," he announced, turning to face his crew. "These ships deserve proper study." "The university won't approve," Reed began, but Marcus cut her off. "The university appointed me lead researcher. I don't need approval." He gestured to Jones. "Prep the boarding shuttle. Full containment protocols." An hour later, their shuttle carefully approached the largest vessel, presumably the fleet's flagship. Up close, the ship's size was even more impressive. Their shuttle, capable of carrying 50 researchers, looked like a toy beside it, picking up a stable atmosphere inside. Jones reported, surprise evident in his crystalline chimes. "Hull integrity at 99.8%. That's impossible for a ship this old." They found a docking port that, surprisingly, was compatible with their universal adapter. The airlock cycled, and they stepped into the ancient vessel. Their lights illuminated corridors that seemed to stretch endlessly in both directions. "These proportions," Marcus mused, studying the hallway dimensions. "They're perfect for bipedal species, roughly 2 meters in height." He ran his sensor over the floor. Artificial gravity still functioning at exactly 9.8 meters per second squared. "This is precise engineering." Reed reluctantly activated her own sensors. "The air mix is primarily nitrogen and oxygen. Temperature controlled at 293 Kelvin. It's like the ship was expecting visitors." They made their way to what appeared to be the bridge. The room was massive, filled with control stations sized for beings smaller than most modern species. Marcus approached what seemed to be the captain's chair. "Look at these markings," he said, tracing strange symbols on the armrest. "They're everywhere, but they don't match any known language in our database." Jones moved to a central console, his crystalline form casting rainbow reflections across the dark screens. "Doctor, I think this is a computer terminal. The technology is ancient, but there's power running through it. Minimal, but present." Dr. Marcus felt his scales tingle with anticipation. "Can you interface with it?" "It might damage my systems," Jones warned. "The technology is unbelievably old." "Try." Jones extended a crystalline tendril toward the console. The moment he made contact, lights flickered across the bridge. Dormant screens suddenly illuminated, casting the room in a soft blue glow. A voice spoke, the sound coming from everywhere at once. The language was unknown, but somehow familiar. Before anyone could react, every screen on the bridge displayed the same two words in angular script. "We see you back." Reed's tentacles coiled tightly against her body. "Doctor, what have we awakened?" The bridge hummed with energy as more systems came online. Reed backed away from the central console, but Dr. Marcus moved closer, his four eyes reflecting the blue glow of the screens. "Jones, can you understand any of this?" Marcus asked, watching as symbols scrolled across the displays. The crystalline officer pulsed with concentration. "The language is unlike anything in our database, but the computer architecture it is. Fascinating. It's not primitive at all. The processing speed is matching our modern systems." "Impossible," Reed muttered. "These ships are 50,000 years old. They should be using basic binary systems, not quantum processing." A new sound filled the bridge, a soft whirring from behind them. The team turned to see a panel, then the wall sliding open. Inside was a small device, rectangular and thin, about the size of Marcus's hand. "Some kind of data storage," Jones suggested, scanning it. "It's requesting connection to my systems." Marcus nodded. "Do it, but maintain quarantine protocols." Jones extended another crystalline tendril toward the device. The moment they connected, the screens changed. The strange symbols were replaced by clear, readable text in their modern galactic standard language. "A translation matrix," Jones chimed excitedly. "The system learned our language from my databases and adapted. This is incredibly advanced programming." Marcus stepped forward, reading the text aloud. "Project Guardian Fleet, final log entry. In the event of successful activation, please review historical database first. Caution. Contents include extinction-level event data." Reed's tentacles twitched nervously. "Doctor, we should report this to the university before proceeding." "No time," Marcus replied, his scales rippling with anticipation. "Jones, access that database." The screens filled with images, countless pictures and videos of beings they'd never seen before. Bipedal creatures with two eyes and soft skin, wearing different colored coverings. They watched as these beings built cities, launched space vessels, and spread across multiple worlds. "They're called humans," Jones translated, processing the data. "This matches the old legends, the stories about the species that vanished at their peak of power." "Legends aren't scientific evidence," Reed argued, but her voice wavered as more images appeared. The next sequence showed the humans building enormous ships, the very fleet they now stood in. The vessels were called the Guardian Fleet, constructed over decades using technology that seemed to blend mechanical and quantum engineering in ways their modern science hadn't even considered. "Look at these specifications," Marcus said, pointing at a technical readout. "The hull isn't primitive at all. It's layered with millions of quantum-locked particles. The metal exterior is just camouflage. These ships are more advanced than anything we have now." A new file opened, showing a recording. A human appeared on the main screen, wearing what appeared to be a military uniform. The translation matrix converted their speech. "Final Admiral's log, Guardian Fleet. The enemy approaches from the dark space. Our predictions show they will return in exactly 50,000 years. We've tried evacuation, but there's no time to save everyone. Instead, we choose to save the future. The Guardian Fleet will remain, powered down but waiting, equipped with everything needed to fight them when they return. To whoever finds this, you are now our last hope. Learn from our data. Prepare your defenses. They are coming." The recording ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Jones processed more files, his crystalline form glowing brighter with each new discovery. "Doctor," he chimed softly, "there are thousands of technical documents here. Weapons designs, shield technologies, faster than light theories we've never imagined. The humans, they were centuries ahead of where we are now. Reed floated closer to the screens, her earlier skepticism fading. Why hide such advanced technology behind a primitive exterior? Because they wanted it to survive. Marcus realized, his heart's racing. They knew whatever destroyed them might return. They made these ships look worthless so they would be preserved, not scrapped or stolen. A new alert flashed across the screens. Jones translated. Warning. Long-range sensors activating. Anomaly detected in dark space. Estimated arrival. 14 standard days. The human's warning suddenly felt very real. Marcus looked at his team, seeing his own fear reflected in their various physiologies. Get me a communications link to the Galactic Council, he ordered, and download every file you can from these databases. We need to understand what the humans were preparing us for. The ancient ship continued to wake up around them, systems activating one by one, preparing for a war 50,000 years in the making. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with angry voices. Hundreds of representatives from different species argued as Dr. Marcus's findings played on the giant screens around them. Preposterous, shouted Counselor Blake, his metal body reflecting the chamber's lights. These old ships cannot be more advanced than our fleet. It goes against all logic. Marcus stood at the center platform, trying to keep his scales from showing his frustration. Behind him, Jones displayed the human technical files they had downloaded, his crystalline form projecting the data for all to see. The evidence is clear, Marcus insisted. The humans knew something was coming from dark space. They built these ships to help us fight it. If these humans were so advanced, Blake countered, why did they go extinct? Why not save themselves? Reed floated forward, her tentacles moving gracefully in the low gravity. We found more records, she said, her earlier skepticism now replaced with urgent concern. The humans didn't have time to save their people, but they had calculated exactly when the enemy would return. That time is now. The chamber erupted in fresh arguments. Marcus looked up at the council leader, an ancient being of pure energy contained in a special field. Leader Wright, Marcus called out. At least let us activate the fleet's defensive systems. The human records show. Enough. Wright's energy form pulsed with authority. We cannot risk activating an ancient weapons system we don't understand. The fleet will be studied properly, in controlled conditions, at our main research facility. Suddenly, Jones began to pulse with rapid colors. Doctor. Emergency transmission from the fleet. The chamber screens change, showing live feeds from the ancient ships. One by one, weapon systems were powering up across the entire fleet. Massive gun ports opened, revealing technology that made the council members gasp. What are those? Blake demanded, pointing at strange devices emerging from the ship's hulls. Marcus checked the human documents quickly. Quantum lance batteries, reality-bending shield generators, point defense systems that can track objects moving faster than light. He looked up at the stunned council. The humans built weapons we haven't even dreamed of yet. Shut them down. Wright ordered. Shut them all down now. We can't, Jones chimed. The fleet's AI has taken control. It's responding to something we can't detect yet. More systems activated across the fleet. Strange energy fields began forming between the ships, creating a vast network of power that their sensors couldn't understand. The primitive vessels were transforming before their eyes. Reed's instruments beeped urgently. Doctor, look at these readings from dark space. Something huge is disturbing the fabric of reality out there. The fleet's sensors are tracking thousands of objects moving toward populated systems. Marcus felt his heart freeze, just like the human records warned. The enemy is returning. This is absurd, Blake protested, but his metal body had lost its confident pose. Our modern fleet can handle any threat. We don't need these ancient ships. As if in response, the main screen filled with a tactical display from the human ships. It showed the Council's modern fleet compared to a single human vessel. The power readings were clear, One primitive human ship had the combat capability of 50 modern warships. The humans fought this enemy before, Marcus explained, his voice growing stronger. They spent centuries preparing these ships, hiding their true power until they were needed. They sacrificed themselves to give us a chance. Warning sirens began blaring throughout the council chamber. Emergency reports flooded in from the outer systems. Strange objects were appearing from dark space, exactly where the human records said they would. Multiple contacts. Reed announced, her tentacles whipping in alarm. They're huge. Energy readings off the scale. The human fleet moved with perfect coordination, ships sliding into battle formations that had been planned 50,000 years ago. Their weapons charge, shields hummed to life, and ancient engines powered up with terrifying efficiency. Council leader, Marcus pleaded one last time. We need to get our people to safety. The humans knew this day would come. They built these ships for this moment. Either we trust their warning, or we face extinction like they did. Wright's energy form flickered as they processed the situation. Around the chamber, council members watched in stunned silence as more emergency signals poured in. The human fleet had awakened fully now, ready to complete its mission after 50,000 years of waiting. The only question was, would the council accept its help in time? The council chamber shook as another wave of reports came in. The strange objects from dark space had destroyed 3 outer colonies already. On the main screen, the human fleet continued its activation sequence, more systems coming online with each passing minute. Maintenance protocol activated, announced a new voice, speaking through Jones's translation matrix. A metal figure emerged from a wall panel on the flagship, its humanoid shape covered in tools and sensors. Dr. Marcus watched in amazement as similar robots appeared across the entire fleet. These must be the automated repair systems, he said, checking the human records. They're preparing the ships for battle. Incredible, Reed whispered, her tentacles waving as she scanned the robots. Their AI systems are more advanced than anything we have. They're repairing 50,000 years of damage in minutes. Counselor Blake's metal form shuddered. How can we trust these machines? These weapons, they could turn against us. The maintenance robot turned its head toward the council's video feed. Trust protocol explanation initiated, it said. Humans programmed core directive. Protect all sentient life. Cannot violate directive. Will protect council species as programmed. Leader Wright's energy form pulsed with decision. The enemy has destroyed our outer defense fleet. We have no choice. Dr. Marcus, you've studied the human records. What do they tell us about these attackers? Marcus quickly accessed the files. The humans called them the Void. They're not solid matter, more like living tears in space itself. Normal weapons pass right through them. That's why the humans developed the quantum lens technology. As if responding to his words, the human fleet's weapons powered up. Enormous energy beams connected the ships, forming a complex web of power. The maintenance robots worked faster, bringing more systems online. Alert, the robot announced. Enemy approaching council space. Defensive formation Delta activating. All civilian ships must clear combat zone. Reed's instruments beeped urgently. The fleet is moving. Look at those engine signatures. They're using some kind of space-folding technology. The ancient ships accelerated with impossible speed, their formation shifting like a living thing. What had seemed like simple metal hulls now glowed with strange energies, layers of quantum shielding becoming visible. By the stars, Blake whispered, his earlier doubt forgotten. One ship just traveled 50 light years in seconds. Our fastest ships would take days to cover that distance. More robots appeared, these ones clearly designed for combat. They manned weapon stations across the fleet, their movements precise and coordinated. The humans had thought of everything, leaving nothing to chance. Warning, Jones chimed suddenly. Massive spatial distortion detected. The enemy, they're here. The main screen showed it clearly. Space itself was tearing open. Dark shapes poured through the gaps, each one larger than a planet. They moved like living shadows, consuming everything in their path. The human fleet's response was instant. Quantum lance batteries fired, their beams bending reality itself. Where they struck the void creatures, space stabilized, forcing the enemies to become solid. Observation. The maintenance robot said calmly. Enemy unchanged from human records. Weakness patterns confirmed. Beginning attack sequence alpha. Marcus watched in awe as the fleet executed perfect combat maneuvers, firing weapons that shouldn't have been possible. The void creatures recoiled, clearly not expecting such resistance. The robots are transmitting combat data to our modern ships, Reed reported excitedly. They're teaching us how to fight. The council chamber was silent now, all arguments forgotten as they watched the human fleet engage the enemy. 50,000 years of waiting had produced this moment, and the ancient ships moved with deadly purpose. Final activation sequence complete, the robot announced. All systems at full power, human combat protocols executing. We will protect. We will defend. We will honor our Creator's sacrifice. The fleet's full power was unleashed at last, quantum weapons tearing into the void creatures with devastating effect. The humans might have been gone, but their legacy lived on in these ships, in these machines, in this moment they had prepared for across 50 millennia. The real battle was about to begin. The battle raged across space as the human fleet engaged the void creatures. Dr. Marcus, Reed, and Jones worked frantically in the flagship's command center, trying to understand the flood of data coming from the combat robots. Another void creature destroyed, Reed reported, her tentacles moving across multiple control panels. The quantum lenses are working better than expected. These humans, they really did think of everything. Suddenly, the main screen flickered. A new program activated, spreading across all displays in the fleet and the council chamber. The maintenance robot turned to face them. Combat pause detected, beginning primary message protocol. The creators wished to speak. A hologram appeared in the center of the command deck. It showed a human wearing a decorated uniform, their face lined with age and worry. When they spoke, the translation was clear and direct. To those who find our fleet, if you're seeing this message, then humanity's worst fears have come true. The void has returned, just as our calculations predicted. We are Fleet Admiral Thomas, and this is humanity's final testament. Marcus moved closer to the hologram, his 4 eyes wide with wonder. The human's image continued speaking, telling their story. We first encountered the void 300 years before building this fleet. They came without warning, destroying entire solar systems. Our weapons passed right through them. Billions died in the first week. The hologram showed scenes of destruction. Planets being torn apart, space itself breaking down. The council members watching from their chamber fell silent. But humanity didn't give up. Admiral Thomas continued. We learned. We adapted. We discovered how to hurt them. The quantum lance technology was just the beginning. Each ship in this fleet carries the combined knowledge of human science, the work of entire generations. Reed's instruments detected more void creatures approaching, but the fleet's AI held position, allowing the message to play. We knew we couldn't save ourselves. The void was too close, too numerous. But we could save the future. Every ship you see was built to last 50,000 years. Every weapon was designed to remain powerful enough to fight them. Every robot was programmed to protect whatever species found our fleet. The hologram's eyes seemed to stare directly at them. We sacrificed everything to build this fleet. Our last cities, our last resources, our last hopes, all went into these ships. Not to avenge ourselves, but to give you a chance we never had. Jones chimed in alarm. Doctor, the void creatures. They're surrounding us. The Admiral's message continued, urgent now. The fleet's eye will teach you everything you need to know. But you must act quickly. The void grows stronger in dark space. Every time they return, they're harder to defeat. New displays activated, showing detailed technical data. This information will help you build your own quantum weapons. The fleet will protect you while you prepare. This is humanity's gift to the future, a fighting chance." The hologram smiled sadly. "We may be gone, but through these ships, through this fleet, humanity's spirit lives on. We die, so you might live. Use our knowledge wisely. And know that even 50,000 years ago, we fought for you." The message ended, but the technical data continued flowing. Combat robots returned to their stations, quantum lances charging for another attack. "Multiple void signatures approaching," Reed announced. "They're trying to surround the fleet." The maintenance robot turned to Marcus. Creator's message delivered. "Combat protocols resuming. Request: will you help us honor humanity's sacrifice?" Marcus looked at the technical data, then at his team. The humans had given everything to create this moment. Their knowledge, their technology, their very future, all to save species they would never meet. "Send this data to every scientific facility in Council space," he ordered. "Begin manufacturing quantum lance weapons immediately." The humans didn't just leave us ships. They left us a way to fight back. The fleet's engines powered up, quantum shields strengthening as they faced the approaching void creatures. Humanity's last gift was about to prove its worth once again. The final battle for the galaxy was just beginning. The void creatures attacked from all directions, their dark forms twisting space itself. The human fleet moved as one, forming a sphere of protection around the Council's core worlds. Dr. Marcus watched from the flagship's command center as the battle unfolded. "Enemy numbers increasing," reported the combat robot. "Detecting void rifts opening across 12 sectors. Beginning deployment of quantum shield network." The fleet split into precise formations, creating overlapping fields of quantum energy. What had seemed like simple metal ships now glowed with blinding power, their true nature finally revealed. "Look at this," Reed called out, her tentacles moving excitedly. "The ships aren't just fighting. They're sealing the rifts. The humans designed them to repair damaged space." Jones's crystalline form pulsed with rapid calculations. "The quantum lance technology is more advanced than we thought. It's not just a weapon. It's healing the tears in reality that the void creatures create." On the main screen, they watched as the first major clash began. The void creatures, each one larger than a planet, surged forward. They had destroyed the Council's outer colonies easily, but now they faced something different. The human fleet's response was devastating. Quantum lances fired in perfect synchronization, their beams crossing and combining. Where they struck, the void creatures were forced into solid form, their impossible bodies becoming vulnerable. "Combat effectiveness at 98%, announced the robot. "Deploying secondary weapon systems." New weapons emerged from the ship's hulls, devices that bent gravity itself, tearing the solidified void creatures apart. The robots worked with inhuman speed, adjusting tactics faster than any living crew could have. Council leader, Marcus called through the communication link. "Now's the time. Launch everything we have." The Council's modern fleet joined the battle, their ships guided by data from the human eye. They weren't as powerful, but they could still help. Every ship counted now. 2 void creatures destroyed, Reed reported. But more are coming through the rifts. The human fleet is. Wait. They're doing something new. The ancient ships moved into a new formation. Energy began building between them, more power than Marcus had ever seen. The maintenance robot turned to them. "Beginning primary attack sequence. Warning. Significant space-time distortion may occur. All allied ships, please maintain safe distance." The human fleet's formation began to spin, forming a massive ring in space. Quantum energy flowed between the ships, building to impossible levels. The void creatures sensed the danger, trying to retreat. By the stars, Blake's voice came through the council link, his metal form trembling. "The power readings, they're off any scale we have." The human fleet fired as one. A beam of pure quantum energy, as wide as a sun, erupted from the center of their formation. It struck the largest void rift, and reality itself seemed to scream. "Spatial repair protocols engaging," the robot announced calmly. "Void incursion point closing. Enemy forces at 60% and falling." Marcus watched in awe as the human weapons did their work. The void creatures were being forced back, their rifts sealed one by one. The fleet moved with perfect precision, executing battle plans created 50,000 years ago. "This is incredible," Reed whispered. "The humans didn't just build weapons. They built a way to defeat the void creatures completely, to seal them out of our space forever." The battle continued across multiple star systems, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. The human fleet was unstoppable, their ancient technology far beyond anything the void creatures had faced before. "Alert," the combat robot announced. "Enemy forces retreating. Beginning pursuit protocols. We will ensure they cannot return." The council chamber erupted in cheers as the void creatures fled, their invasion crushed by humanity's final gift. The human fleet had done what it was built to do, protecting life in the galaxy long after its creators had passed into history. But the robots weren't finished. There was one last part of their mission to complete, and it would change the galaxy forever. 3 days after the Great Battle, the Galactic Council gathered again. This time, no one laughed at the ancient fleet. The human ships hung in orbit around the Council's capital world, their quantum shields creating beautiful patterns in the sky. Dr. Marcus stood at the center of the council chamber, with Reed and Jones beside him. The maintenance robot had joined them, its metal form standing straight and proud. "The void creatures have been driven back to dark space," Marcus reported. "The human fleet sealed 97% of the spatial rifts. The remaining few are under constant guard." Leader Wright's energy form pulsed with relief. "And what of the damage to our outer colonies?" The robot stepped forward, beginning restoration protocols. "Human ships equipped with planetary repair systems will rebuild all damaged worlds within 1 standard year." The council members murmured in amazement. Even now, the human fleet continued to surprise them. "But that's not all," Reed added, her tentacles moving excitedly. "Show them, Jones." The crystalline officer projected a new hologram in the chamber center. It showed detailed technical plans, hundreds of them, flowing past in a stream of information. "The humans left us everything," Marcus explained. "Not just their weapons, but all their technology. Scientific breakthroughs we haven't even dreamed of. Medical advances that could extend our lives by centuries. Clean energy that could power entire galaxies." Counselor Blake's metal form leaned forward. "They're giving us all of this, even after we doubted them." The robot's eyes glowed softly. Humans believed in sharing knowledge. Final directive includes full technology transfer to worthy species. Council races proved worthy by helping fight the void. "There's more," Jones chimed, his crystalline form bright with excitement. "The fleet's databases contain coordinates, hundreds of them, leading to hidden human outposts across the galaxy. Research stations, manufacturing facilities, entire shield networks, all waiting to be found." Marcus touched a control, and new images appeared. The humans didn't just prepare for one battle. They prepared for the future of all species. They left us a path to become as advanced as they were. The robot raised its hand, and all screens in the chamber activated, beginning final protocol. Creator's last message playing. Admiral Thomas appeared again, but this time the message was different. "If you're seeing this, you've survived. You've proven yourselves worthy of humanity's legacy. We built this fleet to save you, but what you do next is your choice." The hologram smiled. "In our time, we reached heights of technology and understanding that most species take millions of years to achieve. We did it because we had to, because the void forced us to evolve or die. Now we give that knowledge to you, freely and without condition. All we ask is this: remember us. Remember that humanity faced extinction not with despair, but with hope. We chose to die so that others might live. Use our knowledge wisely. Build, grow, explore, and maybe someday you'll do for another young species what we did for you." The message ended, leaving the council chamber in respectful silence. Leader Wright spoke first, their energy form glowing brightly. "Dr. Marcus, you will lead the new Human Legacy Project. Every scientific institution in council space will study what the humans left us. We will not waste their gift." The robot's eyes pulsed with approval. "Human directive complete. Fleet entering support mode. Will assist council races in implementing new technologies. Will continue to guard against the void. Will honor creators' memory." Marcus looked out at the fleet through the chamber's windows. The ships no longer looked primitive to anyone. They were humanity's greatest achievement, a gift of knowledge, protection, and hope passed down across 50,000 years. "The humans had a saying," Marcus said, reading from their cultural database. "The true measure of a civilization is not what it builds for itself, but what it leaves for those who come after. They left us everything they knew, everything they were." Reed's tentacles moved gently. "They're not extinct. Not really. Their knowledge lives on. Their protection continues. Their hope survives in us." Above the council world, the human fleet stood watch, ready to protect and guide the younger races of the galaxy. Humanity's legacy would live on, not in monuments or empires, but in the civilizations they had saved, and in the future they had sacrificed everything to preserve. The end.